Hello, everybody. We are so fortunate to have three representatives from the wonderful film Snatchers, including the director, John Kingman, and two of the actors who were involved. We're going to learn a little bit more about the film as we get working here, and hopefully you'll learn a little bit more, including somebody in the background there in the UK.
Oh, sorry, that's my lovely wife. It was very happy to be part of our production today.
Through your career and through all this education over there, if she wants to get a little, what do they call that when you jump into a photograph?
A little cameo. She's gonna be that guy.
Cameo, a little bit of cameo. Photobomb. Sorry, got a little distracted there, but that's the way live interviews go as well. So we're so pleased to have Brielle Cotello, who played Bree in the film, and Jason Kellerman, who played the Mennonite Jeb in the film as well. Kind of an ensemble film, but we're so glad to have two of the main actors here as well. John, St. Paul native. Thank you for making this comedy film. We don't get a lot of comedies submitted to festivals, so when we get one that's entertaining and enlightening, it's always great to get it. So, John, tell me a little bit about where this story came from and working with your writer and how it came about.
Sure. So I lived in Brooklyn. I've lived in Brooklyn since 2001. And I was living in a pretty large apartment building at the time. We had just finished up, Guy Patton and I had just finished up an earlier movie. We were talking about, what's the next story we're going to tell? Do we want to do this again? That kind of thing. And I just realized that I don't know anybody in my building. I know none of my neighbors. And if something weird happened, I would have no concept. And from that sort of jumping off point, I started thinking about like Invasion of the Body Snatchers and Robert Heinlein's The Puppet Masters and all these sort of, sci-fi classics in which people's bodies are taken over by, foreign beings and what that's like. And then the other sort of instigating incident was that I saw a meteor shoot across Brooklyn one day at about 4 p.m. It burned off real quick. Maybe 3 other people saw it on Twitter, and that was the end of it. And it just felt very sort of sci-fi and apocalyptic. And those two things together kind of meshed into the early brainchild of Snatchers.
Let me move to the actors here real quickly. This obviously is, I didn't even count, but you have tons of actors, kind of an ensemble in this sort of thing. What was it like to be directed by St. Paul native John? That's how we're starting out. I'm not going to ask about characters. What was it like to work for John?
Bree, you got something? Because I have a story that I would really like, that I think I want to tell. But Bree, go for it. You go first.
Oh, then you go. You go first.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Well,
yeah, you do it.
No, you go. Sorry,
No.
Much lag.
No, you go.
Okay.
Yep.
So my distinct memory from the film, and I know this is being played after, so you guys just see it. The scene when we were in the food truck and Jeb throws the kimchi on top of so we were, it was like 4 a.m, right, John?
Yeah.
Something like that. And we're driving through the streets of Brooklyn, strapped in to the food truck. Bree, you were there as well.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of hanging out the back. And I remember John coming up to me and saying, hey, listen, we had a lot of kimchi, but unfortunately, somebody dropped it or it spilled. So we only have enough for 2 takes. And then, John, I remember you looked at me and you said, I don't need you to hit this because that's impossible. It's out of one moving car into another. I don't want to put pressure on you. So you don't have to hit it. We can fix it in post. And then you looked at me and then put a hand on my shoulder and said, but hit this. And I was like, okay, all right. You know what? I can get down with that. And I think that is the most directive, I don't know, what I really loved working about, what I loved about working with you, John, sorry, words are hard today, is just that you are really good at balancing the line between giving the actors freedom to play. I never felt like I brought a choice into set around sort of the pretty big character character choices I was making around that you poo-pooed, while still kind of making sure it all fit within the world you were building. So I really appreciated this sort of collaborative spirit that you brought to things. It was really, really wonderful and a lot of fun to work with.
Fun seemed like the word, whether you were watching it or looking part of it is, how could you not have fun when there's guns and burning buildings and cars and poop in a toilet, for heaven's sakes? How could it not be fun? So Bree, this is sort of your first foray, not into acting, obviously, but into film work. What was the experience like for you with John and just in general?
I think I got really lucky, honestly. Everyone on set was really fun and welcoming and didn't make me feel like, oh, you're the newbie type person. And I agree with Jason, like John was very good about letting us, he trusted us. That was the cool part. There was like a mutual trust. Like he trusted us to make a decision. We trusted him to not make us look stupid or mess up or anything like that. So it was a really, I would say like there was a really good teamwork happening. And like you said, it was just a lot of fun. So it was a great first experience, honestly. It really was.
Was there a lot of improv? John, did you let him improv a little bit, or did you? Because as I teach comedy and stuff, I always think stick to the script. You know, people have worked hard on these words. Did you get pretty close, or did they discover what's going on?
I mean, I think to be honest, we don't do a ton of improvisation.
Yeah.
I think it's fun and it's tempting to allow for improvisation, but especially with something like this where there's so many details that have to match between scenes and shots and things like that, that you can really get yourself into a quagmire quickly if you let people go too far off script. Occasionally, you know, there's like line reads, there's different versions of a punchline that somebody might bring that, and these things got into this, the movie almost 100%, I would say. When somebody actually like had, oh, I've got a great alternate line for this, like they were usually right. But by and large, we try and keep things pretty by the books with the script.
I think that helps. One of the things that I noticed while I was watching it, I was reminded of actually The Simpsons and how you, not that it reminded me of The Simpsons, when you watch The Simpsons, you have to constantly pay attention, because if you don't pay attention, you're going to miss something. And so from my perspective, as I was watching this comedy, I was reminded of the one-liners about and the thematic things of gentrification and the federal government and our imaginations. And there were just all sorts of like sort of serious topics sort of thrown in here and there. And in some respects, I also thought, I mean, I remember Bree had a line that talked about they're coming here and they're trying to make us all fight between ourselves or something. And I can't help not to get political necessarily, but I think we're kind of dealing a little bit with that as we look at the world and some instances here in the United States. So was there a concerted effort to combine politics and issues and things?
Not politics overtly, but certainly issues. I mean, I think a big thing in Snatchers is just the concept of personal identity. It's how people view themselves versus how the rest of the world views them. And so basically with every character, with the exception of the White Duke, maybe, the way they see themselves is very at odds with how anybody else would interpret them, you know? Bree thinks that she's this like very, you know, good documentarian and an artist, but like if anybody meets her, they think she's a maid because she doesn't really push herself that hard. And like Jeb's a Mennonite, but he is a pretty bad Mennonite. He's pretty bad.
It's progressively worse.
Yeah. Well, and as you bring up Jason, I recall looking at your reel that you have on IMDb, and you've got this like hairy, dramatic, all this kind of stuff. So what attracted you to this like Mennonite guy?
Oh man, I just remember like when I like, so I'm living in New York with my wife and submitting for a bunch of stuff and auditioning all the time, and this thing comes up, and John, you know, contacts me and sends me a bit of the script, and like a lot of comedy stuff, for me at least, you'll read it and you'll go, okay, I see what they're going for here. I'm going to try to make this as funny as I can. And luckily, the scene that I got, I was like laughing while reading it. And I was like, no, this is actually legitimately very funny. And like that for me is always kind of a really good place to start and pretty necessary. If you're going to set onto something that's supposed to be funny, is you have to find it funny as well. You know, and it just kind of went from there. And then, I don't know, you know, I did a little bit of research on Mennonites. So then like the idea for the character is that he's a bit of a fish out of water, and that's what I found really interesting about it. Is this is somebody who's completely out of his depth and kind of discovering the world for the first time in many ways.
The city,
Right. You know, and so I thought that was really fun to play. It's kind of like he's like the foreign exchange student in a weird way, right? He's very happy to be there and like just trying his best to sort of like always figure out what's happening around him. And I don't know, that's just really fun to play.
Well, Brielle, Jason had a story. Do you got any stories?
Oh, I have a lot of stories.
Give us one.
I I would have to say most of the funniest stories happen with our overnights, because I just feel like at a certain point, everyone gets very loopy, and that's, at least that's what I call it, when you start giggling and you're just kind of like delusional a little bit. And I'll never forget when we were on the roof and it was an overnight, and I had a fake gun, like a prop gun, and I'm holding it and I'm making jokes with people, not pointing at anyone, but like I'm holding it, and John just looks at me and he's like, I'm gonna hold that for you. Like, I'm just gonna, if anybody sees this. And I was like, thank you.
We live in a new day and age where you have to be really careful, because you never know who sees it or what might happen. I'm trying to. Oh, okay. I do remember you shooting a gun. Now that I think about it, and when I think about the gun, I also think about there's a lot of special effects and like aerial shots and CGI, maybe. I don't. Just tell us a little bit about the production, because I thought this had wonderful, vivid production values and colors and stuff. Love the purple poster and all of that kind of stuff. So tell me a little bit about putting this together from an art direction, special effects standpoint.
I mean, so for special effects, I think I try not to take on a project that I don't know that I can do about 90% by myself.
Oh, okay.
Because I know that I'm going to do about 100% of it by myself. And so with Snatchers, when we started, talking about the original script, I think right away, Guy wrote in a part where the White Duke shows up on a dog sled in the middle of a park. And I said, well, we're not going to do that. That's just insane. Like, how are we going to make that happen? He's like, well, actually, my next door neighbor, two doors down, has an urban dog sled. This is something that he does to train them during the summer because he goes up to Alaska in the winter. And I was like, oh, okay, well, then that's going to stay in the script. Sure.
Okay.
The gunshots, we had done all of the gun effects on our previous feature Pearl. So I had learned how to like hone my very rudimentary After Effects skills on that. The drone shots
work too, because you feel bad when someone gets shot, but we also knew that just the nature of it, we felt bad, but we didn't feel bad. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It was all good.
Yeah. I think for the drone shots, I researched how much it would cost to find somebody that could pilot a drone and rent it out for a couple days, and it was very expensive. And I looked at how much a drone cost, and it was about half the price. So I bought a drone and I taught myself how to drive or fly a drone so that I could get some drone shots. So I try, I think with all this stuff, to make an independent film is extremely difficult. And the more things that you can take on your own and say, like, I'm going to have ownership over this, the better off you are, which is also a lot of work and it's very stressful, but it keeps the cost down.
Yeah, it absolutely does. And I think you subscribe to lifelong learning, it's stretch a little bit. I also have to say I enjoyed the music, the sort of synthesizer-ish. That's how I would describe it. I don't know but how did you use the music to move this forward and support the characters?
Clara Peterson, the producer, had a friend has a friend, I shouldn't say had, he's still with us, Dylan Thurston. And he and I had a phone call about a year before production started, in which he sort of auditioned for being our composer. And our phone call was, these are my favorite movies. And he said, oh, these are my favorite movies. And I said, well, these are my favorite movie scores. He said, those are also my favorite movie scores. And I said, it seems like you're hired. And we kind of jumped from there. Like, we both love John Carpenter. We love the 80s synth scores, the sort of dark moodiness of them. And a note that kind of everybody got, both Dylan for composing and all of the actors, was, nobody's in on the joke. Nobody that's participating on this knows that there's a comedy taking place.
Yep.
The score should never say, hey, here's a punchline. It should always be, it's in itself a joke if there's going to be a joke.
Completely. Well,
and the actors
and again, you as a person who has pretty much built your career on comedy, if you will, I hope I'm not pigeonholing you, but built your career on comedy, really understand that right away, and that being straight about things or the truth of things is what you really want to sort of focus on. Well, we have appreciated focusing on this wonderful film today with some actors, someone from London. And you know what? Before I go, let's find out a little bit more about London. So you're over there just hanging out with the Queen. What's going on?
Yeah, just me and the corgis running around. It's great.
Oh, okay.
No, I just finished up my master's program at the Bristol Vic, which is a theater school that if you like doing Shakespeare, which is a lot of what I do when I'm not doing on screen work, is on stage, really like doing classical stuff, is a really good place to go. And my lovely wife, she's starting her year at Lambda, which is a year-long program. So we're here for another year, which is exciting. So yeah, just kind of hanging out and living the COVID life. It's slightly rainier than we would be in New York, but yeah.
Well, best wishes of you, because that school is not, that program is not something you just sign up for and pay for. I mean, you have to work to get into it. What's ahead for you, Burrell, in New Jersey and in your acting stuff? You got some theater coming up, or what's going on?
I'm still working on it, figuring it out. I just finished school myself, so I'm just kind of gonna go with that for now and then see where I end up. We'll see.
Well, that's just all of that. And John, you know how festivals go. You're always, it's like, even as I early in my career, and even now have films in festivals, the follow-up question always is like, so what are you working on now? So I got to ask you the question, where can we see more of your work, or are you taking a break, or what's up next?
There's never a break. Guy Patton and I are working with Jonathan Fernandez, who played Ray Ray, on like a proto action comedy with him sort of as the lead. We've been talking a lot about something that would be a vehicle for him. And so that's sort of what we're spitballing right now. And I'm always thinking about Snatchers too, because I just feel like it would be just an obscenely fun amount of time to spend.
If you have fun once, you might as well try it again. Well,
yeah, hopefully with somebody else's money this time.
It all comes down to money, doesn't it? Acting artist friends, thank you so much for spending time. And from all of us here at the festival, we know that if we don't have people making films and allowing us to show them, we have nothing. And so my kudos to you for a film, fellow Minnesotan. If the two of you actors ever get a chance, really check out Minnesota. We're really cultural and civilized, and have a great time. So in any case, thank you so much. We appreciate it, and good luck to you all.
Thank you.
Thank you
so much, sir.
Thank you.
Bye now.
Bye.
I'm actually not going to go. That was just he said,
He did it.
Jason went. That was kind of a fake goodbye. I was gonna fade to black, Oh my gosh. Well, I'm still rolling. It's fine. Anyway, that's it. We so appreciate you taking the time in the middle of the day to do this. And again, I sincerely mean that about your film. I always think of, if you have a stage would be empty if you didn't have, Jason, he's coming back. I'll let him back. He maybe heard us. There he is. That was
jumping so quick, man.
I just realized that I didn't have to leave. You're probably going to stop recording.
It was a fake goodbye.
4 months of online Zoom classes for grad school when the COVID lockdown happened has got me absolutely trained. When everybody goes bye, you go down to the bottom right corner and go,
Done.
If this was work, I'd be.
Quite frankly, I am still recording, so therefore I'll probably keep all of this in.
Okay, perfect. Very good. Stay still in comedy. This is fun.
All right, I am for sure going to hit end of session right now. Thank you so much. It's not the end to our relationship. Hopefully, let us know what you're doing. Bye-bye.